Now, when it comes to subtracting fractions, where the denominators again are the same, it's a similar process to how you add in fractions, in which case, when we're subtracting fractions, we're only subtracting the numerators if the denominators are already the same. So in this case, 4/5 take away 3/5, we know leaves us with only 1/5. How do we know that it definitely equals 1/5? Well, let's have a look at this bar model here. In this bar model, or if you imagine it's a chocolate bar, we've got 4 of the 5 pieces. We've got 4/5, and we're going to take 3 of those pieces away. So in which case, our bar model, or chocolate bar, will look a bit more like this, where you can see that I've lost 3/5 of my chocolate bar, and I'm left with only 1/5. Right, now what happens if we have to subtract fractions where the denominators are not equal? Well, let's have a look. Now, like when you were adding fractions, we can see that here we've got 2 fractions where the denominators are not the same. Okay, here we've got 6/15 and here we have 1/5. So now obviously we can't subtract one from the other. What do we have to do? Well, firstly, we have to find a common denominator. Now, using my knowledge of equivalent fractions, I know that 15 is actually a multiple of 5. So actually, what I could do is leave this fraction alone and focus on this fraction here. So we could do 5 times 3, which will give us 15. And remembering our knowledge of equivalent fractions, whatever you do to the denominator, you must also do to the numerator. So I have to also times that by 3, which gives us 3. So now what we have is we've got 6/15 take away 3/15. Now that is a question we can answer because the denominators are now the same. So if we remember, what we only have to take away the numerator, so 6 take away 3 is 3, and we're left with 3/15. Alright, now if you notice that we've got 3/15 here, alright, some questions might actually ask you to give your question in its simplest form. Now if it does ask you to give it in its simplest form, that simply means we have to simplify the fraction. If you remember what that means, is you have to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. So in this case, I'm going to show you that in its simplest form, alright, we're going to divide both the numerator and denominator by 3, we have got 1/5. Alright, but actually, either answer is correct, because 1/5 is the same as 3/15, which is the answer to 6/15 take away 1/5. Now, just in case you end up with a question where both denominators again are different, and you're looking at it thinking, well, I can't quite tell what the common denominator is going to be, right? Remember, it's about looking for a common multiple. So what number is in both the 3 times table and the 4 times table? Well, I know if I multiply 3 by 4, I'll end up with 12. Okay, so I'm going to do the same to the numerator. So that's 4. Okay, what do I have to times 4 by to get 12? Well, I have to times that by 3. So then that denominator will also be 12. Again, what you do to the denominator, you must also do to the numerator. So I'm going to times that by 3 as well. So now we've got 2 fractions where the denominator is the same. Okay, whereas before we didn't. But what we did was we found a common multiple. Okay, and we times the denominator and numerators by the same number. And here we've got 4/12 take away 3/12. And as you know, 4 take away 3 gives us 1, and the denominators stay the same, so the answer is 1/12. So what's 1/3 take away 1/4? We can say the answer is 1/12. And that's how you subtract fractions.